The red light means we're recording, I guess.
Yes.
On air.
On air.
Live stream.
All right.
Michael.
So, my good friend Sal,
Welcome.
in my couch,
Yes.
eventually.
Couch surfing.
Yes. Give me
Cheers.
cheers.
Chin
Yeah.
chin.
Chin.
Rock and roll.
So this episode is all about the beginning of this podcast idea.
Yeah.
Since you were so nagging me since autumn 2019.
Has it been that long?
You bad man.
Well, all I can say is it has happened, and it's happened with force. I mean, what's been this makes my podcasting studio. You guys can't see it, but it makes my podcasting attempt look like not amateur hour. But so in autumn of 2019, I officially started nagging you. I would have imagined it would be even before that, but let's run with that as a starting date.
That was my memory. Maybe it's not that good.
My memory is shot. So.
Yeah, shite.
Said no swearing.
The thing is that with this podcast, we should always share a bottle of wine.
Yes.
And since Sal is here, we are actually sharing a box.
The box, which goes without saying. It's going to be a long podcast. We're gonna start with the history of me nagging at Michael, but I think we're going to end up.
Why did you do that?
Well,
you were in the beginning. Why did you nag me?
So you,
of all people.
So you already had Food Cafe online. Okay, so like you already were producing material online. And you already had a subscriber base on YouTube. Food Cafe's YouTube channel at the time when I looked at it had like just shy of 5,000 subscribers. So it's not like you didn't have the technology. You did have the technology. Neither of us foresaw COVID, like I think like anyone else. But I think I was getting. The reason I wanted to encourage you to do it was because I felt that. While the content that you were creating on Food Cafe is excellent and useful, obviously, because given the number of subscribers that you had amassed, and given the amount of, and that was like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't like you were really pushing that. The thing that you were really pushing was the events. The fact that you just recorded the events and you put them online. It blew me away that you actually had the number of subscribers that you had, given that you've done no marketing or real effort to grow the channel in any significant way.
So there is no commercials. I have said no to YouTube about putting commercials on because I do think that knowledge should be free.
Yeah, and also those advertisements, when the commercials that come up really break up the entire. You know, there's nothing you hate more than trying to watch something on YouTube and then the ads pop up. It's really annoying. But more importantly,
the thing is that Sal, this is actually an ad for my podcast.
Well, I'm being paid. Where's my? I haven't been getting. I bought the drinks tonight.
All right.
Okay, let's run with
not
that.
really.
No. Well,
Okay.
I'm getting paid. Is this my payment? All right, deal. But yeah, so you already had content. You already had quality content. You'd grown a user base. Absolutely no marketing. Absolutely no, trying to get any kind of attention for it because your primary mode of activity at the time was events management. This was just to supplement the fact that if you have value from your events, you should be sharing that knowledge and you should put it online because that's very admirable. One of the things I love about Food Cafe.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think why I was getting agitated at the time was the thing that, and also by that time, I mean, like the whole podcast scene had blown up. It was everyone and their mum had a podcast. Even my mum, no, my mum doesn't have a podcast. Maybe she should get one. But yeah, the whole point of it is that I watched a lot of the content, but I think the thing that was missing was just to have, frank discussions on a much more intimate level, because when you're showcasing someone's talk, there's an audience there, and there's a Q&A and everything else. And my kind of feeling was that, can we capture the Q&A part? Because after the speaker has done their talk, the real fun ends up with the Q&A if it's good. I mean,
actually, the real fun part is actually
the bar after with the
bar
Q&A.
after. Yes.
That's where the real stuff happens. No,
yes. And it's not recorded.
Yeah, it's not recorded.
No, I also would like this podcast should be. We should talk about things that people might just think about, but they're not comfortable in asking the questions.
Sure. There's the environment in it. You know, as you rightly said, if there's
like I'm asking you stupid questions.
Yeah.
So right now,
and I'm giving you stupid answers. Welcome aboard. No, but there is a level of intimidation in a crowd environment, which we lose. It still exists in the Q&A. Actually, it might even go up a little bit higher in the Q&A, because then the spotlight is on the person. But we definitely lost all of that by the time we hit the bar. And everyone started coming out with some very interesting questions. And the conversation was much more fluid. Yeah. So we had some social lubricants going on there. So not all of the things that were said are useful, but a lot of them are. And I think vino veritas, right? So some of the truth comes out when people start drinking, and they're a little bit more hard-hitting about things. Yeah. So
cheers, everybody. Cheers. So this is
Besalamati. That's cheers in Iranian.
Yeah. And the selection is
the cheapest wine.
No, not really the cheapest. Actually, it's possible you could buy some cheaper wine, but
it's very good.
It's totally okay.
It's a nice drop.
It's a nice drop. Tons of chemicals in this shit. But,
there you go.
Yeah.
Moving along quickly. So, okay. So now we put that into some kind of perspective. I was giving you a hard time. How long did it take since autumn of 2000 and
So you were nagging me in the what I recall was in the 2019 in the fall.
Yes.
And then in the beginning of 2021 I actually...
Okay, so then the key question here is, why? Why then and not any other time? Was it simply because I was nagging you so much that you just had enough?
The thing is that I'm trying to hold on to this, that Food Cafe is all about to meet and share knowledge in between people.
In person.
In person. I would like to create that possibility for people to do that.
Yes.
But
COVID happened. So are you also in the same boat as everyone else? COVID was the transformational accelerator for...
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
So I was hoping you'd say something more original, but I'll run with that. You're not the only one. So COVID was the...
So there are good things and bad things about COVID. The good things, if we go to good things, is that you have to open up for new creative solutions of things.
Yeah.
And I know that doing a podcast is not really creative, but from my perspective, it's creative.
Look, so you're absolutely correct. People had to change the way they were thinking about not just events management, but obviously events management is huge with respect to the COVID impact. I mean, the impact that COVID's had on events management. But generally in knowledge economy, in general, I mean, when you're talking about IT companies and companies which do their business online or they require the internet to have that business working, one of the things that I felt personally annoyed but gratified was that we were banging on about, more remote working and more opportunities to allow people the flexibility to work from wherever they are. The technology has been around for a while, but there's been this management attitude of bums on seats in the IT industry. Yeah. Now, obviously, in events, bums on seats is exactly what the whole purpose is about. So you're correct. The influence of COVID with respect to the acceleration of the transformation. How many more words can I make up? So the acceleration of change that was required. And also, I think it blew up a lot of the arguments that I was hearing against the position of more remote working and more flexibility in working, because you had all these people who were like, yeah, but I just need to have them there. How do I check up? And, it's this micromanagement attitude that exists in IT, which has no place in IT, in my opinion, and has had no place in IT.
And you have been around for some
I've
years.
been around for like 25 years in this industry professionally. So and a lot longer before just mucking around with tech. But so it was really to me it's sad that it took COVID to force this acceleration. Could have been much better if people just management or industry influencers and leaders actually understood. And it wasn't through a lack of effort from. I was posting on LinkedIn that I was speaking with people who already understood the value of remote working. And there was also this whole thing about nomad IT, like people.
But we also noticed some backslash on it.
Yeah.
Actually, there were a survey by the Lund University and about
productivity.
Not productivity, how people actually feel.
Okay.
Emotion. I mean, they come up with the after they have done the research, they come up with that extrovert people are feeling much better in this environment, in working from home. Introvert people do not in the same extent.
My feeling is that
and that's actually a little bit contradictory to what people actually believe it is, and it's a kind of surprise.
So my thing has always been about choice. So I don't want to force people to work remotely as much as I don't want them to force people to report to an office. So the whole point has been about choice. And to my mind, and with the conversations that I've had with other people in the industry and in the same sphere of work as we're in, the whole thing has always been about let people choose. We have technology. Yeah. We can organize ourselves in ways that make ourselves more productive.
So I do have a point in this, actually, because I think I met lots of people throughout the years, and many introverts and extroverts people, but I could see on the introvert persons that no, they don't like situations where there are loads of people and they're
forced to interact.
Yeah, but they need the interaction in the office, like, and the interactions for them could be just going to the coffee machine and get a cup of coffee,
sure,
and just talk to someone for a few minutes and then go back to their shit.
Yeah,
and that small interaction will make them feel better.
And I'm not denying that.
So and when you're working from home, you don't have that interaction.
And I think
and that little bit makes them feel much better.
I agree, and even for myself, someone who enjoys working remotely, there's a certain level of social interaction that's required. I guess as I was saying before, I think what wasn't happening pre-COVID was an atmosphere of we've got an office, you have to turn up, 9 to 5 grind. And everyone knows in the knowledge economy doesn't work 9 to 5. It works 24/7, 365. And you have so then the challenge becomes slowly we saw more progressive thinking with respect to we'll give you 1 day working at home. And Google is accredited with like Friday you can work on whatever you like. It's not about what you're working on. That's important.
So how should we solve this
in
the future?
I think it's kind of solved. I think that what we have to realize is where does the role in your job description, how necessary is it, A, for you to be in a place, and B, how would you feel about having a choice about where you wanted to be productive? I'll give you a good example. I've worked in very nice offices with very nice facilities with, all kinds of things available to the people who are in those offices.
Was that in Langley or?
No. It wasn't.
Cut.
Yeah, get what? No. I won't mention the name of the company, but it's a very big company that was its business was a state agency. And we like to work in this company, but and they created amazing office spaces, very really cool. But in that space, and with working with people in that space, some of the people would get out of that office space and find themselves a little corner to work from. And I think these are the ones that you might call introverts or what have you. So I'm thinking, like, you drag people in, you've made them go into these offices, and the first thing that they do is they find somewhere not to sit where you placed them. And it's just, again, let's be clear, this is about having the opportunity and the choice and the flexibility to work where you want and to look within constraints of the business requirements.
I think it will be difficult after COVID.
Yeah, I don't think. I would love.
It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to take care of your staff.
No.
To make a good working environment. It's not as easy as you can work at home as much as you want, or you have to be at the office every day. And this will not be binary in the future.
And absolutely not. And here's where I think becomes very interesting, because what I'm saying is that you should have the flexibility to choose the working environment that again, within the constraints, technical, logistical, within those constraints. So it's not saying work at home or work in the office. It's like, maybe I want to work at the library. Maybe I want to work at my favorite restaurant or whatever, cafe, internet place. I should have a choice of being able to, especially now, have a choice of being able to work wherever I feel I'm going to be most productive. And whether that's, I don't care whether, maybe that's in the toilet, I don't know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, don't go there. No, but wherever. It doesn't matter if it's your favorite internet cafe, maybe it's a nice pub you work, or maybe it's the library. When I was in Sweden the last time, oh shit, we gave away our, anyway. So when I was in Sweden last time, one of the best places I used to love to work, and that I was my most productive, was at Malmo Library. What a wonderful place to work if you just wanted to go. I didn't want distraction, didn't want noise. Found myself a nice little spot.
Yeah, so my library is a very light place. The height of the ceiling is like you have. Is it like 10 meters or something?
Open.
It's super.
It's one of the most best designed buildings with respect to library design that I've come across.
It's not a traditional
no,
dark place.
Old books everywhere. No, it's cobwebs.
For you that do not know the library.
Library is fantastic. And by the way, actually when I was in Brno in Czech Republic, the library there was also very similar in design. The idea is that, well, libraries after the internet took a slap. I mean, there was actually discussions happening that they were really underfunded. It was like, why do we need libraries now? The reason that you need libraries is because you're creating a workspace which is conducive to productivity without distractions, and it still has that same social interaction. It has a small coffee area, you can grab a snack, and so in a way, and the best thing about libraries, you duck in and duck out of it as and when you please, right? So and I think that perhaps could be a model going forward, post-COVID. We'll see. What I'm afraid of, and I hope it's not going to happen, because I think now we've had a taste of the flexibility of where we can work, is, are we going to go back to the status quo as soon as everyone's got their...
I don't think so.
If I'm going...
So what I've heard most company will not do that.
Yeah,
But
well,
the-
most companies don't necessarily follow up on what they say. Let's see how they act, because we've both got a problem with corporate structuring and management. And there's a lot of things wrong. There's a lot of things wrong with it.
Yeah.
So let's fingers crossed, thumbs held. Let's see what happens. Drinks down. No, but
Cheers, mate.
cheers.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic. But
Me too.
Yeah.
I also know, but I'm also a bit afraid of because it's also that I'm also concerned about how people feel.
Well, look again. You said something that's very important: the social interaction that people can get from being in an office space. What I'm saying is, it doesn't have to be an office space. It could be any space. Let people decide where they. And one other thing that was really interesting is now, obviously, with social media and a million apps that you can go to somewhere, you can check in, and you can share with other people.
Yeah, but that's not. You are not an introvert person.
No,
You
but there are times that I just don't want to. I need to focus.
Yeah, but you are a quite extrovert person, so you like to interact with people. You like to discuss.
Yeah, but I
things.
also love working from home.
You also like to interact with people. But
I think there's a let's qualify this, because I think there's a social extroversion I have, but I have a very different professional introversion. I don't like being in an office environment because of I don't know. I mean, at least the ones that I've worked in previously, they're stale. They are work orientated. One of the and again, it's my personal opinion. I don't want to go to somewhere and think I'm going to work because I have to be here because there's a bums on seats. I want to go somewhere and I want to get something done. Yeah. Now that could be in an office.
That's you.
Yeah, that's me, personal opinion.
And I actually believe that there are people that actually,
like the discipline of going. The routine is useful.
Yeah, it's very useful for some people.
Oh, 100%.
To go to an office and just interact people over the coffee machine, and nothing else.
Fair enough. No,
and they are feeling good about that.
Yeah, and
just a small, but you have to give people the space
to
do that.
And yeah, so a lot of what we saw back in the day, I mean, before Google, but with Microsoft invested, and even before Microsoft, but the companies invested a lot in the way that the architecture of the buildings, how they were configured, the whole thing about Microsofties and the bean bags. Instead of why have chairs? We just throw some bean bags. There's a lot of these ideas, very creative.
It's fucking impossible to sit.
No, but if you're doing, if you're
stupid.
No, but if depends on what you're trying to do. If you're doing some kind of brainstorming session, you don't need throw some bean bags, sit down, got the whiteboard, have a conversation.
Wouldn't it be just enough with some wine?
Well, here's the thing. That's me and you. What happens if you're in a dry country? That's gonna be exactly. What are you doing about your inclusiveness and diversity? No, let's not go down that road yet. What I'm saying is that there was a lot of time and money invested in creating comfortable environments for people to work. And that was bad.
Fuck you.
Let's clear this out. Yeah. So there you go. So So one of the things that I think. Lots of time, lots of money invested in trying to configure working environments. And there are companies that have to do that because there's proprietary information and whatnot. But what technology has solved is that we can still have privacy outside of the corporate network with respect to the things that we're working with. Give people, and I keep coming back to this one, Michael, let's give people the choice and the flexibility to decide where and who they want to interact with. One of the points that we were talking about previously was not just like if I go somewhere that I think is a good place to work, I can rate it and I can share that and I can actually ask other people, hey, this is a cool place. Let's come here. And so I'm actually bringing my colleagues with me into a new place. And I think that has real value. I like the fact that I can get up in the morning and not be at the same place. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people are sticklers for routine. So they should have their routine. They want to get up in the morning. They want to catch that train and they want to be at the same place as they were before because everybody knows their name. No, but no, and for real, I don't want to deny that. I think, and that is... And basically, as a legal thing, companies need to have some kind of a formal address, right? They need to work from somewhere. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that, like, identify the purpose. What are you doing there? If your job requires you to be there, and and with your team, apparently, you all have. I don't know what the nature. Let's call it business X. It needs to have this. Specific office space where everyone needs to meet every day, and then they go off and distribute leaflets or something. I don't know, but whatever the business case is, this is about choice. It's about, as I said before, I'm kind of repeating myself a bit.
This is what I like with my good friend Sal, is that he just get carried away.
I don't think
so. And now we are going back to the topic from the beginning, right? So I think we have talked about this.
I think we did the remote working and COVID stuff.
Yeah, but now we are going back to the podcast.
Okay.
All right. So what should we call it?
Well.
So do you have a good name for it?
Food bar.
Food bar. This is not really a bar.
It's getting there.
It's a case of beer.
Let's make it into a bar. No, that I don't know. I would suggest that
Michael's guest.
Michael, well, go to your community and ask them what they want to call it. I mean, you have an existing community. You have a bunch of people subscribed on, not just on your YouTube channel.
I'm asking you now.
Right, I told you there. No, but seriously, I think one of these things that, and this is now the community aspect of it, the knowledge of the crowd, but not just knowledge of, it's not just an anonymous crowd, there's a knowledge of people who are essentially stakeholders.
The thing is that I would like, it should be a mix of people coming on this podcast. Should be like,
rock and roll stars.
I don't want to call them rock and roll stars because I actually like music.
Yeah.
And they are on fucking rock and roll stars.
No.
So the what?
Yeah. Well, one of the things.
I would like to have people that is knowledgeable in the industry. I would like to have. Some that could be partners to Food Cafe that have done some cool shit, and it could also be local people that doing good shit for the community.
I think
so. It should be just like Food Cafe events. It should be a mix of different.
Well, that's the diversity, right?
Yeah.
What we're talking about when we're talking about diversity is diversity of thinking. No one wants, a group think. The idea is that you challenge the way that you think by surrounding yourself with people who don't think the same as you.
Yeah.
And that's really key. I'm not going to get too on the political side of this, but that's what diversity means for me. I don't care about the color of your skin. I don't care if you're from Mars. I don't care if whatever. What I care about is ideas. Yeah. And what I want to do is make sure that I'm not surrounding myself with people who think like me, at least all the time, because that's just not conducive to a well-balanced idea of reality. So what you should be doing is, and the internet affords you all the trolls. No, but the internet affords you lots of diversity of thought. And it's through that diversity of thought and through a commitment of actually acting on that. Now, there's a contemplation to action thing here. So we can spend all day talking about what we should be doing, but ultimately we have to act on it. And a true commitment to diversity of thought means A, allowing that conversation with people that you may not necessarily agree with, but B, being open to understand that maybe you might want to act on some of the suggestions that they provide, if only to deny the fact that they are viable. right? Because, and this takes a level of bravery, and it takes a level of
I invited you.
yeah, we have nothing in common except we like wine.
Talk about brave.
Taxi, this was a lovely podcast, and I'll see you next week. No, but for real, it's a lot of talk, and you do have to have talk. You have to have that, and you have to contemplate ideas that you might not agree with, and you might even not like. But that's the second part of it, which is, okay, let's give you some rope. Go on, and we'll try this. And if it doesn't work, you hang yourself. And that's really, I mean, I think when we talk a lot about now, experimentation is the way forward. We should be experimenting. And I agree with that. I think there is a level of sitting down and trying to do analysis, which is important, and planning is important. But there are people whose business is planning. Like they don't do anything else. They will sit there, they'll happily tell you how you should be doing this, doing that, take your watch, tell you the time.
Isn't that lovely?
I mean, they're called consultants.
Everybody just tell you what you do.
Yeah.
And you don't have to think by yourself.
At all.
And just getting on the ride.
And the key thing here is...
That was irony.
Yeah. What do you mean? No, but look, and it's again this for years that at least as long as I've been involved in consulting, it's that the best consultants are the ones that can actually affect change. The ones that you typically work with are, and it cuts both ways. There are companies that will bring in consultants to get them to tell them what to do, and then to seem like they're doing something, and then shelve all the ideas. No, so let's be very clear. Ideas are important. Action is the key, and the methodology is how you accomplish that. So we spoke about this before. I don't want to drop the trifecta, but there are three things.
So yeah. By the way, Sal is working as a consultant.
You can find me on LinkedIn. No. And by the way, I'm working for a company that I can't disclose, so we can't go down that right. But yeah, I'll if you follow me on LinkedIn, and my LinkedIn now has a thing on your profile that says actively looking for work. If you find that thing changing on my LinkedIn profile, give me a call. No, but right now I'm talking.
It's a horrible pitch. Don't go for it.
It's horrible pitch because I'm working. I don't need work. No, but the whole point here is that we distilled it into three things. You need an idea. You need to have a method of achieving that, and ultimately you need to act on it. Okay, and
is that hard?
Well,
I mean, the last part.
Well, the action part. That's the hardest part. Everyone's got an idea, and everyone thinks how they can put it into practice.
Of course.
Yeah, the bit at the end is the action. So we distill these things into ideology, methodology, and a praxeology. Now, forget about the ologies, but essentially it's ideas, methods, and practices. But you're absolutely correct. The realization is the practice, but the whole thing is a feedback loop.
Yeah.
So if you practice something and it's rubbish, it fails, you go back to the drawing board. Oh, here's a new idea for you. This has been going on for like millennia.
So this is the podcast thing.
Yeah,
so back to that.
But I managed to
practicing.
Okay, so
we are still practicing.
So let's put this. You asked me when I was nagging you, right? So
why did you nag?
No. So this isn't. Let's put it into the framework that I just put together, right? So the first idea was. The idea was you need to do a podcast. Okay.
Right.
The second thing is that I need to persuade you. That's the methodology bit. I need to persuade you. I tried a shit ton of methods. But eventually I did get an action from you. Otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. Now, if you want to ask me what was the penny dropping moment, it wasn't anything that I did, unfortunately. It was COVID. So I need to go back to my drawing board and think, I've got to make a much better case of doing this. But I think maybe there's two things that have to happen. A, you need to be a bit more responsive, and B, I need to be a bit more persuasive. Right? So these are the two things that we need to learn from this. All right.
That's the great things in life, that you always learn new shit.
Yeah, I think the moment, and you do, the moment that you're not open to it. Look, we work, as I said before. I hate calling it the knowledge economy because it's not about what you know; it's what the other guy doesn't know. So let's not call it that. If you're working in technology, if you're working in tech, tech is always changing, and the pace of that change is changing.
But the good thing with the COVID thing is that I have plenty of time now to do this shit.
Yeah. And I think because a lot of the time that you were spending going backwards and forwards to the office and chasing people at different various places, making meetings that involved you to travel, suddenly all that time you have.
Yeah.
And
so,
I think...
I'm out of wine.
Wait a minute.
So
you're fired.
Right. So this is a hard blow to just the world economy.
But look, I think you kind of nailed something. Like, what's your manners? No.
Oh, God.
He invites me as a guest. No, but you picked up on something that I think is really important here. With the COVID, now you have time to be able to essentially investigate different avenues of opportunity, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of what I would call busy work before COVID. Busy work is, I have a meeting, I have to go over here. I have to go and see this person over there. And people, by the way, it's busy work because it's not necessarily productive, but it does get you out the office and it does make you feel like you're doing something. And it does, I think what happened right now in the COVID is like, oh, wow. I'm saving I don't know, people have different commute times, but my commute times have ranged from 2 hours a day, 1 hour forward, 1 hour back, to, half an hour a day, or 15 minutes backwards and forwards. But 2 hours a day is a long amount of time over a week that you could have sat and I guess investigated these options somewhat more, in depth. And you're out. That's actually a very good point. I think one thing we're realizing is, how do we manage time? How do we manage time better? I've had managers who make meetings just so they can, get out of the office and do stuff that they want to do. It's always nice. It's a change to the day. They wanted a change in their routine. It's not really conducive to productivity. Now, if I offered you a model that says you can do that and still be productive, you'd hire me immediately, because I'll be lying to you as well. No, but what I'm saying is that that's actually becoming a little bit more. Well, you're proof of it, in the sense that two things happen then, really. I failed to persuade you, and B, COVID, and C, time on your hands. Dangerous combination.
The thing was, when you talked to me about this podcast idea, I was doing events at least 4 evenings.
You're a busy man.
Every week, yeah.
And these are out of hours meetings as well. Some of them,
Yeah, all the time, also in the evenings.
Yeah, evenings, out of hours, and during your days you were spending on essentially growing the community, getting backers on board, partners and whatnot, subscriptions. So you were doing the day-to-day general kind of 9 to 5 business, and then when it actually came to the crux of the business, which is the events itself, you were doing those in the evenings.
Yeah.
So you're basically working all day and most of the night.
Yeah. So and now.
Now I get to sit with you here having a glass of wine, discussing how you otherwise would have been at the office doing an event. Now, what I'm saying is that when things go back to normal, you may well be doing those events again, and I think that's a good thing. That's not bad.
Hopefully we will be back in the fall,
and hopefully you won't need to be doing these things in the evenings unless you want to.
The thing is that
there was an element that you couldn't do it because even with your partners, they don't want to let their staff out of the office until they've done their office hours. Right? That's, to me, an administrative bullshit. And so you were kind of forced to do an evening event because it was more conducive to your partners and your staff. Now your partners and staff, they're clamoring on to try and essentially get onto the event because they can do it. You can do it at normal hour, and your evenings are now somewhat more free. And this is a good thing, right? This is a realization that I think business needs to understand as well, that again, there's a lot of lip service paid to events and oh yeah, we're supporting Food Cafe or whoever, and yeah, but then our staff only get to go there between 6 and 8. Right, that's lip service. Okay, now that it's like, no, Food Cafe is doing an event, we're a partner with them, we're actually supporting the fact that our staff can do this meeting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or they could do it at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh wow, you were thinking like that.
Yeah.
So maybe I should try to pitch that.
I think my consulting fee will land in your email. No, but I think you absolutely should. Then why? Look, it took.
That's your consultancy.
Oh, really?
Your consultancy fee is in your glass.
It's again.
Again.
This time, if I become an alcoholic, your lawyer will be hearing from me. No,
I'm totally fine with that. I could tell him to go fuck himself.
But look, but think about that. Think about that for a second. That there is a certain level of commitment that your partners would make to you. Yes, we love what Food Cafe does. We think it's amazing. We think it's got value. But we're only going to release our staff after they finish their 5 o'clock shift. Yeah. I mean, like, come on. I mean, like, really, what you're doing there is you're going to you're kind of forcing two types of people to make that event. The ones that have been told and the ones who have got nothing better to do. No, okay. So, cheers.
All right.
So have a word with them.
Yep.
Have a word with your...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is this the ending word of this?
No, I think we've got much more to talk about. No. You're oh my God, Sal, don't diss my partners. Yeah. They're my lifeline. No, okay. On a parting note, I think so. The reasons for you doing the podcast are somewhat more simpler than just me trying to persuade you. COVID had a big impact on your business. You're in events management. COVID hit two industries really, really hard, more than two, but the two that come to my mind are events and hospitality are the biggest industries that have been hit hardest. You had to adapt or die, and no amount of persuasion or of good ideas due to my bad methodologies of taking you to the pub and plying you the beer.
Actually, I did actually listen to you.
No, you did.
But it took a while.
It took a while. And look, and not just that. I mean, I do remember you actually did rock up to our local with a whole bunch of equipment and were like, Sal, should we do it here? And I was like, no, I just want to get drunk. So, yeah, it cuts both ways. But let's distill it. Yeah, obviously COVID was the force accelerator or transformation accelerator, whatever you want to call it. Then there was the fact that...
I think people call it a pandemic.
Oh, yeah, pandemic, superdemic. Yeah. Don't, we're going to get sued after this. No, but so yes, if we distill it, it was essentially COVID was the accelerator. Yeah. The idea, the seed had been planted months before.
Yes, sir.
And the nagging was consistent. So, okay, I won't completely say my methodology was completely wasted. I would say it cost me more effort and time than it should have done. But I'm not sure what else I could have done. I could have potentially talked to you. I mean, we can speculate. It could have. I spoke for told you about it for a few months, and if COVID didn't happen, I may have persuaded you eventually. But here's the thing: it's actually that's another thing. It's not really about me trying to persuade you. What you have to kind of persuade yourself. I'm throwing these ideas at you, and not just me. I
love it.
Yeah, and you have other people throwing loads of ideas as well. And this is where it comes back to that whole diversity thing of diversity of thought. You didn't see value in what I was telling you to do. You just didn't. You had a business model, you had a priority, and you felt that the effort put in this direction was not going to get you the value than if you would just continue to do what you did. And given the finite resources that you have, that's a rational decision to have made. Now, COVID comes into the picture. Suddenly this drops, and now you're going to have to switch over and say, oh, wait a minute, this path is not available to us anymore. Yeah. This one opened up. So, with that being said, what's the takeaway? What's the moral of this podcast? Oh, wait a minute.
The moral of it is, actually, it's kind of nice to have people in my couch
Yeah.
to have just a nice discussion with.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about.
But no, it goes further than that. The conversation is fine. There has to be something to get out of it in action afterwards. Conversation is cool. Have many, many of them, but they are fruitless if they don't produce an outcome, a tangible outcome. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be...
What is the outcome today?
So the outcome today is that you're going to pay my consultancy, Phil.
Oh my God.
Did you see what I did there?
Yeah.
And on that note...
And Sal should be considered as my friend.
Okay. Cheers.
Imagine... No, don't do it. No, do not. No, don't imagine this shit.
Anyway.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Everyone. Thanks. Apologies for the rants. Enjoy.
See you next episode of Michael's guest.
Michael's casting couch.
Couch surfer.
Couch surfing. Michael's couch surfing. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
You happy? Did that go well?
Yeah.
Should we play it back? No, don't play it back. That's annoying.